Dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to compliment the organizers in putting such a very interesting and exciting session. I've been watching since morning. Extraordinary deliberations and inputs. And as Dr. Gargas mentioned, I'll take it as a challenge whether I can evoke response, and I'll make sure that you are not sleeping. The topic, green banking and sustainability, has been very profound. We live in a changing world. Extraordinary set of changes taking place in terms of globalization. Re-regulation to deregulation again. Countries and continents are living beyond their means, and extraordinary set of reorganization taking place in the financial side. Consumerism and technology are redefining the scope and performance. Millennium Development Goals has been redefined as Sustainable Development Agenda, elimination of extreme poverty, gender equality, universal health care, universal education, ensuring environment sustainability plays a bigger role. To achieve that, we need to build global partnership to ensure we have measurable, manageable, and sustainable global growth we require. Even after 8 to 9 years of financial crisis, we haven't achieved this sustainability. Financial economies are still converting as real. Real economies are redefining the scope and performance. Communism has changed. Capitalism is altering its form and substance. Mixed economies like India is performing. If you look at the advanced economies, they are grossly underperforming. If you look at the emerging markets, still, they are not incrementally adding value as much as they should. Gone are the days, 60 to 70% of the incremental gross domestic productivity comes from emerging markets. Not anymore. China is slowing down. Within the emerging market definition, India is having a very balanced scorecard. Top performer in terms of economic momentum, over 7%. Can it sustain? Can it make sure it can be a top performer forever? If it has to, then it has to be a green economy. The world itself has to change as green world. That's my mission. World economies should change as green economies. The banking itself has to be productive and positive to convert the risk-weighted capital, a portion of the risk-weighted capital, to become more productive for sustainability. That's one of my research paper when I submitted to the Sri University, which was endorsed subsequently. What I'm trying to articulate, as bankers, we buy money and sell money. If you look at the credit creation in the world, twice of the GDP is what credit creation in the world. Assuming 60-odd trillion is a global domestic product. Incremental credit creation, you can extrapolate it. If minimum 10% of their risk-weighted capital, that's the benchmark. There's no hard and fast rule. Depending upon the compliance architecture, if you say America is polluting 15% of the global carbon emission, if you say China is 29%, if you say Europe is 10%, India is nearing 6.9 to 7% of the global carbon emission, then to that extent at least, you have to set aside, as banks, as financial institutions, set aside the risk-weighted capital towards investments or lending towards sustainable projects. It could be water management, it could be waste management, it could be solar, it could be wind, depending upon the opportunity. It's a commercially viable project. That's what we have experimented. 45% of the world oil, 25% of the world gas comes from the place where I operate, Gulf states. 6 states put together. When the oil was over $100, they used to generate over 2 trillion. Today, they're struggling for 1 trillion plus. Where I said, I will convert the desert bank into a green bank. Over the last 15 years, I've been working on this mission to sustain credibility as a green bank. When it comes to investments or lending, we have managed to instill confidence. The reason why I'm saying is, India has globalized in form and substance. Indian culture has transcended borders. Indian food has transcended borders. Indian economics today is universal. Globally, global governance has recognized, whether IMF or World Bank, India is a telling story. If you look at the demographic dividend and the policy market liberalization, which India has emerged to be a successful performer, India has got a great future. This century belongs to India. We all recognize this century belongs to India. If that is the case, we need to bring in sustainability in terms of banking. And that's my honest submission. How do we do that? You have a committed financial institutions, public-private partnership model. You have a reliable source of funding. You can create a clean technology fund. You can create a green fund. You can create, again, green banking in substance. My experience globally is to mobilize, whether it's private equity or hedge fund holders, bring in those inward investments to India. Ensure the banking system as a whole, like we have capital rules. We have well-defined, established banking practice, Basel II, Basel III. Risk-weighted capital allocation has been set aside in terms of universal benchmarks, in terms of valuation, accounting, securitization. Accept the same formula. I raised it in IMF. I have raised it in World Bank. Since 1999 onwards, I've been propagating green banking as a culture. Around the world, I was trying to showcase the importance of global warming and climate change. Rising sea level, increasing temperature, animal extinctions are not ordinary issues. Aligning your corporate objectives and social objectives and converge to be a productive and positive business model. The substance remains a portion of the risk-weighted capital should be promulgated as a lending or investments. And that's what a Reserve Bank of India should do. Or create a green bank itself as an opportunity to envisage sustainability in terms of credit creation. And that's what the need is all about today. These are well-tested commercial models. The average return on equity on all these business models, whether it is solar or wind, it has been productive and positive. Imagine arid zone, 365 days sunshine in the Gulf states, capturing for the sunshine and converting to be productive power or electricity is an option. That's what we did. The banks in the Gulf, especially in Qatar, we financed billions of dollars in terms of polysilicon. Water management, I myself, as Doha Bank, has given over $500 million. Water conservation. So there are opportunities for you to realize and recognize a universal set of compliance architecture can evolve. Clean development mechanism is a set in procedures. Kyoto Protocol has been very well defined. And based on the carbon emission, you impose as a universal norm within each and every country. Again, within each and every banking configurations, you have to have a policy framework well defined for sustainability. And ensuring when it comes to investments or lending, these are practiced for renewables. And that is going to drive the change. That's the measure we need to advocate. If you start doing it, you can manage it, you can control it, and it is highly productive and viable solution. And that's my message. If you do that, sustainability is not only there in terms of India, the rest of the world. We can recognize that food security and global warming and climate change are interconnected. If our global population of 6.8 billion is going to be reaching around 9 billion by 2050, incremental consumption in terms of food security is over 70% required. Where does it come from? We have to create opportunities by credit creation, and that's my simple message. Green banking can add sustainable goals, can add value for your sustainable investments. Lending or investments is a viable commercial model, not a charity. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your kind attention.